country's iconic buildings are recognised across the world. Britain's universities are globally renowned. Higher education, one of our most valuable export sectors. These institutions attract hundreds of thousands of international students every year. But an investigation shared exclusively with this programme suggests that some universities could be delivering postgrad courses to members of state security services from countries where torture is widespread, and that they're potentially turning a blind eye to the risk of contributing to human rights violations in repressive states. The postgrads are marketed in countries including Indonesia, China and Hong Kong, and cover topics like covert investigation and specialist intelligence. They're advertised as being tailored to the needs of police, security and military personnel who wish to enhance their skills and gain an academic qualification. This is the University of Huddersfield in West Yorkshire. It has an agreement with Bahrain to provide a bespoke postgrad in security for its police force, a course inaugurated by its then Chancellor, Prince Andrew, in 2018. It's taught in Bahrain at the Royal Academy of Policing, a building described by dissidents as a torture hub.
This is a mark of a boot by a police officer. I was on the ground when they were hitting me with everything they got.
Saeed al-Wadari escaped Bahrain and was granted asylum here after he says he was tortured by the police. He'd taken part in democracy protests at the time of the Arab Spring and was arrested and imprisoned for 6 months.
How did you feel when you learnt that a British university, Huddersfield, were running postgrad courses in that very building, which was known as the torture hub?
I was so angry. It did trigger something about the whole trauma of going through torture.
There's no evidence that any of the officers on the Huddersfield course were involved in suppressing dissent, but there are no background checks on the role of those applying.
You told them in this letter that there are allegations of torture at that site.
Yeah.
Mr al-Wadari and other torture survivors wrote to the university in 2020 expressing concerns that the course could give legitimacy to police tactics and potentially enable officers to conceal evidence of torture.
All I can see is they are profiting from our suffering, from the suffering of torture victims. They don't care about the human rights. They don't care about reforming Bahrain. All they care about is receiving the money.
We asked the University of Huddersfield for an interview. Instead, they gave us a statement in which they said their work is in line with long-standing UK government policy. They told us,
"All allegations brought to the attention of the university have been put to the relevant human rights organisations, and we've worked closely with the British Embassy in Bahrain. Our work was established recognising that Bahrain was in the process of addressing human rights concerns and is intended to assist its authorities in this."
Huddersfield isn't the only institution that's faced criticism. We've been given access to a new report. It reveals that between 2018 and 2023, several UK universities have marketed courses at security professionals overseas. At least 4 taught students from China and/or Hong Kong on postgrad courses, including Cambridge, Derby, Liverpool John Moores and University College London. And despite the 2018 murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi by state agents, students from Saudi Arabia were later enrolled on intelligence and security studies courses by Brunel and Liverpool John Moores.
The UK government is very clear that when it provides overseas security training and assistance, that there are risks that come with that need to be assessed. But in the university sector, there's virtually nothing in place to deal with comparable risks.
The report's author is calling on universities to carry out human rights checks to assess who they're providing an education to.
Universities might argue that the courses are open to anybody and that there's no evidence that people who take the courses then use that knowledge to support repressive tactics.
If you have students coming from particularly repressive contexts to come and do a security course that you have targeted at professional working members, then you need to consider that this individual or this group of individuals is working for, and what the situation is in relation to human rights violations and the role of the security forces in that.
Universities UK, which speaks for the sector, told us they refute the concerns raised in the report. They said international students must have a valid visa, which can include a consideration of their conduct, character and associations. And they add, universities can play an important role in promoting values such as respect for human rights.